and welcome to ComHack. I'm Tim Jones.
I'm Josh Weiss.
And today we wanted to continue our discussion on story, the power of story, and how that can really hack your communication. So Josh, I know in the previous episode you shared the story of the screen and your friend who got to talk to the CEO, and they experienced a story and put aside their differences about resolutions in order to watch a movie. And it's so true of story that I can do that with people. The only thing is, like, we will bring down our walls when we watch a story, but there's also opportunities within movies and within books that if it's phrased incorrectly or if there's too much of a point to the message that they're trying to get across, then walls can come back up. So when I used to work for a comedian, and he made this little short film about Christmas and how during Christmas we tend to ignore the story of Jesus' birth. And if he told me after he made it, he's like, if I had started with too abruptly about ignoring Christmas, then the message wouldn't have got across, because people are like, oh, I know what this is, and their walls would have come up. So he said, I put that message in at the very end, only after everyone had experienced what was going on in the story. So the subtlety of your message within a story is just as important as telling it.
Yeah, I think that's real important. There's a element of communications called entertainment education, and it's a very formal academic arm of communications, which basically looks at the method of educating through entertainment, which that seems like an obvious, of course everybody knows this, but it's kind of along the lines of what you're explaining happened there, where if you're too obvious with what you're trying to educate, then the walls go up. It's like you've got this sensitivity trigger, and once you've gone too much in your message, all of a sudden, boom, it's like, start over. You've ruined your opportunity. And so in entertainment education, what entertainment education, what EE scholars will do is they'll go in and they'll do research about a specific topic or a specific thing that needs to be educated, needs to be changed in society and culture. And then after they've done that, they'll plan their entertainment avenue, whether that's a story, whether that's a movie or a telenova or a television series or music video or book or whatever it might be. And throughout, they'll be doing more research, and then at the end, they'll do more research to see, did we move the needle? And so an example of a successful EE project would be that of Mothers Against Drunk Driving, or the designated driver concept. That was an EE project that was put on by Harvard back in the late 80s, early 90s, where instead of just going around and saying, you need to have a designated driver because driving drunk is a problem, instead of just going out and saying that all the time, what they did is they implemented that concept and that notion into story in popular television programs, in sitcoms, in soap operas, in movies. And the concept, the actual branding, if you will, of designated driver came to be as a result of an EE project. And so it got implemented into story because people's walls are down, and when their walls are down, they can be educated in a much different capacity. And story was a huge part of that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's something to be said of seeing images constantly enough will start to change your perspective. And we can get into propaganda type of messages there, where if you say the same thing loud enough and long enough, it will change perspective. But in terms of entertainment education, it's different. They're trying to achieve something that's beneficial to society.
Yeah, it's almost the same concept of the propaganda side of things, only with an admirable outcome. I mean,
Yeah.
it in a way, being effective at communication it can almost be manipulative.
Yeah.
I mean, in many ways, it really can be manipulative, but it's not with that intent or with that heart. It's just, if I want to be an effective communicator, if I want to communicate something where you don't only hear my communication, but you receive my communication and take action as a result of what I'm communicating, that just means I'm effective at communicating.
Yeah.
And understanding how to be effective is probably a pretty good thing. And all we're saying here is that using story to communicate is one of those ways to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And going back to that topic of having walls that come back up if the message is too sharp, I was thinking of an example of a movie called Happy Feet. It's this
Yes.
dancing penguin, and
Yes.
it was very overtly anti-religion, and it was very overtly, we got to save the polar ice caps and save the penguins, and we shouldn't be dumping trash in there. Like, it was so much of a political statement that the story was no longer entertaining, and so my walls went back up because I'm like, now you're preaching at me this political message, and I just wanted to watch a movie. So there's definitely something to be said about
Oh, I felt that same way with Lorax and with Wall-E. I mean, like, it was like, no, you're just throwing it up at me so much. But like, I never really felt it was that obvious with The Wizard of Oz. I mean, that was a completely political, I mean, they're telling a story and they're trying to communicate something. You don't even realize it if you're not looking for it or haven't been told that that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
So we could talk more about this. I know that there's another really interesting EE project that utilized the power of story to really change a culture. Actually, there's a few different ones that are really powerful that maybe we'll share a little bit next time. So this has been Communication Hack. You can always check out more on communicationhack.com. I'm Joshua Weiss. You can find me on social at Joshua D. Weiss.
I'm Tim Jones. You can follow me on Instagram at tljonesy_.
And come on back next time for more ComHack.